Are you doing business outside of the US? If so, or if you're thinking about doing business globally, there are tremendous profit opportunities for you around the globe. There are also tremendous tax complexities for you as you get into operating outside the US. And let's take a few minutes today and talk about what some of those issues are. One of the first things you'll have to answer is, what is it you want to do overseas? Do you want to set up a manufacturing facility in Europe, for example, or do you want to set up a distribution facility in South America? What you want to do will help dictate the structure that you're going to set up in order to do business outside the US. When you figure out where you want to do business and how you want to do business outside the US, you're then able to settle on a structure. Are you requiring a separate legal entity to operate, for example, in a different foreign country? Or are you just going to set up a branch of your US corporation in a foreign country? Either one is possible. You would need to have legal advice as what's the best transaction from that standpoint. And also, the tax ramifications could be different based on the type of entity you set up. One of the key things that you want to do when you set up your international structure is to make sure you're not going to be subject to double tax on the income that you generate overseas. It's a very crucial point, especially because the U.S. significantly changed the way they tax foreign income and foreign earnings back in 2017. So the old rules no longer apply. There was a transition period, and now there are totally new rules in the U.S. for how foreign income is taxed. So it's crucial when you're doing business outside of the United States to have a CPA who leads a team of tax attorneys, international tax specialists, valuation specialists, and others who have key knowledge and understanding of arranging foreign and international transactions and helping you to minimize the taxes that are associated with operating on a global basis. The second thing I'd like to mention today is to keep in mind there are other taxes outside of income taxes that you're going to encounter outside of the United States. And one of those is the value-added tax, which is prevalent in Europe, for example, and similar to a state sales tax here in the US. And you need to understand how that's going to impact your products, your services, whatever it is you're going to be selling and manufacturing and doing in a foreign country. The second thing to keep in mind is that aside from income tax in foreign countries, you may also have to deal with other kinds of taxes, such as the value-added tax. And that's similar to a US sales tax. And you have to make sure that you handle it properly so that you are not going to be caught holding the bag. Another thing to consider are customs and duties on products and services that you're going to be sending cross-border, maybe into multiple different countries, and how those are going to impact your pricing decisions. So in the international world, it's extremely important to think not only income tax, but also other taxes that you don't typically have in the US and don't have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. The final item I'd like to point out today is that once you are doing business outside of the United States wants to know what you're doing. There are foreign reporting requirements anytime you have a foreign-owned legal entity like a corporation, even a partnership interest or a disregarded entity in a foreign country, and you have to include these forms with your annual tax returns. The penalties for not including the forms are significant. They're $10,000 for each instance where you have not included the form. Another reporting requirement is something that's called a foreign bank account report. And if you have foreign bank accounts and they have a balance of over $10,000 in them in a year, you have to file the separate report with the U.S. Treasury Department. And again, penalties for not filing, $10,000 per occurrence. So make sure that you understand not only just the income tax, non-income tax, but also information reporting requirements related to international operations. If you'd like to learn more about tax planning, please visit MillionaireTaxSolution.com and get a complimentary copy of my book, The Millionaire Tax Solution, a business owner's guide to legally outsmarting taxes and preserving profits.